It's time for the Hab-Normals podcast. All Habs, all the time. Hey there, everybody. Welcome to Hab-Normals. It's a pretty busy day today that we're recording in the NHL. There's been a number of trades, a couple of things coming out. Nothing for the Habs, though. But we got a bunch of topics to talk about. We have a special guest to that side of me. There you go. Trege Wilson. He writes for the Hockey Writers, and he is co-host of Habs-Unfiltered podcast, which is the top podcast in Canada for hockey, I think.
Well, we haven't done one in a while, so I don't know where it's at now. But...
Okay, but you're up there.
We're up there. Yeah,
still waiting for my guest spot.
Well, they haven't done one for a while. It's your fault.
We're waiting for.
I think in Blaine's case, it's kind of hard to do one on a boat in the middle of the ocean.
True.
And
I don't know how the Wi-Fi is there, nor will they allow him to use that particular Wi-Fi.
And Matt just got back from Scotland, so we're gonna have a show before the draft. So there will be a show coming out soon, for anyone wondering.
Which the draft is. We're recording this on Wednesday, so the draft is 9 days away. It's coming up really soon. We're going to talk about that. But first, we're going to lead off with something basically from last night. Stanley Cup playoffs finals are on. It's Florida and Edmonton. Game 5 happened last night. And I think most people thought Florida would end it in Florida. And that's not what happened, because the Connor McDavid show had its second night, and McDavid was kind of fantastic. So I'm just going to ask
you. Can't get over that fucking pass he made in front of the net.
Going through 2-3 people, yeah. So everybody's opinions. We'll start with Treg. Did you see the game last night?
Yeah, I watched the game. I actually, after the 8-1 win, I thought Edmonton would win. I'm not sure they'll win the series, but I can see this going to 7 games. I think Edmonton has the momentum now. They figured out Bobrovsky. And McDavid's just on fire. Now, if Draisaitl can start get his game back to what it was earlier in the playoffs, I think he's injured.
He's injured. He's got to be, because he doesn't look right.
Yeah, and if he can get it, I mean, as long as Skinner stops the puck, they'll be all right. But Skinner stopping the puck is hit or miss.
Did you see his numbers for game 4 to 7 in the series? They're off the chart.
Pretty good. Yeah, they're pretty good.
It's the first 3 games he sucks, and the rest of the way he's really good. So, and he's proving it. I mean, he's had 2 good games.
I predict that McDavid does not break Gretzky's point record for a playoff.
No, but he's tied his the 4th one, didn't he? Last night he might have even passed it with that goal.
He passed it. He's up to 42 now, so he's the 4th highest, 42 points.
Yeah. So he's the 4th highest. 1 more point, then he's 3rd. Again, Gretzky, and then it's Mario Lemieux, I think, with 44 or 45, and Gretzky with 47.
47. So he needs 6 points in the next 2 games. He can do it. I just don't think he will.
No, but if he has these kind of 2 more games like this. I mean, okay, but he was crazy good. Some of those goals were insanely good. Harry's going to be quiet throughout this, I have a feeling.
Yeah, me too. By the way, Rick, why do you have a parka in the background? It's like 1,000 degrees outside.
Yeah, it's a Habs.
Why do I have a what in the background?
You see the logo?
No. Rick's got a Habs parka in the back. I get it. It's a Habs parka.
Oh, I thought you were talking
but if you put that thing on, you're gonna die.
I never wear it. And I was going through my stuff in my closet. I pulled it out and said, "Oh, that's going to go on the wall." Get some use.
You should wear it outside right now.
No, but I'm not insane like an American, I think. Although I am American too. So, all right. Did nobody else want to talk about McDavid? Really?
I think he's got the Conn Smythe locked up, regardless of what happens.
There's a good question.
I really think he does at this point.
Treg,
I do think, Treg, I'm with you. I think Edmonton's going to force the 7th game. I can't see them losing in front of their home crowd. And then, I mean, Game 7's Game 7.
Okay, but we all said Florida's not going to lose at home. They did, so it's not out of the question.
Right, but just with the momentum they have with the heater McDavid's on, Bob's got to
I
snap
agree.
out of it
I
like
agree.
that.
I agree. I'm as a matter of fact, I'm on. I think I'm switching because my bracket. I've got Florida. I want to win the brackets. I think I still can even without Florida winning, but I kind of think I'm turning towards Edmonton's going to win this series and do a reverse sweep.
I think it's possible. I think they'll win. And Edmonton wins that game again, July 17th,
on Friday,
July 15th. Oh, Friday. Okay,
July 15th.
I know he's right. It seems like it. It seems like
I thought they were just doing one game a month. So
it's 2 days in between
over.
venue switches. When they change venues, they're taking 2 days.
Man, I remember back in the days where you had one day off. You played 2 games. You had a day off.
That's right.
You played 3 games. If it was a West Coast, you had a day off, and you came back and played 2 games. And then if it was 2 East Coast or 2 West Coast, it was 2 day off, 1, 1, 1. And that's how it went.
They didn't go to the every second day till third or fourth round. So final or
later on,
the first 2 rounds,
an extra day in there.
First 2 rounds, it was 2 in a row, day off, 2 in a row, 1, 1, 1.
Yeah,
but it was 2 in a row.
There's no reason why we should be playing NHL hockey mid-June or near the end of June.
No, by June 1st, it should be over.
NBA's over. So,
right?
Nobody watches the NBA but Americans. So
they take forever to
get off. Played. We won 18 titles. Best team, most titles.
It's all Boston has, I guess.
They got something at least. We lost Harry. Your opinion, Treg, who wins the Conn Smythe, McDavid or
McDavid?
Bob?
I think McDavid wins it regardless, whether they win or lose.
At this point, I'm kind of
just putting it out there. Just putting it out there.
I don't see any Habs. There's 24 Habs titles. Where are those?
Oh, that's just all the Boston. That's just all the Boston titles in the past, whatever many years that is.
Boston.
Every single decade except the 90s.
That's when my Yankees were taking over in the 90s. So.
Yeah, but what happened in 2004 though?
Who cares?
Well, I'm curious. Like, what?
Harry?
What happened
in 2004?
We felt bad for Boston and gave them what they needed.
2004.
Actually,
Boston won the cup in 2004?
No, 2004. The Yankees had a 3-0 lead and then lost.
Talking about baseball. Baseball. There's no crying in baseball. I don't watch baseball anymore since they took my Expos away. Right out from under me.
There you go. One of the greatest Yankees ever.
Oh yeah. No, I agree. No, I get nothing but respect for Jeter.
Derek Jeter?
Yeah. We're talking baseball. We switched.
He gives all his girlfriends herpes, though. That's the problem. Isn't that true? Didn't that happen to a couple of girls?
A rumor. He didn't want to get married while the reason that came out was he never married while he played baseball because he didn't want to start a family while he was playing 162 games a year and going to be away from home all the time. So he went through girlfriend, and then when he retired, he finally settled down with a girl. And now he has kids and all this kind of stuff.
Well, maybe they all.
So the rumor went out that he was some kind of man whore, which he probably was, but.
Yeah, definitely. That's
good for him. If I was that good looking and rich, I probably would be too. So,
without a doubt, there's not even a question of that.
That's right. I'd be doing the Leonardo DiCaprio thing. Once you hit 26, you're out. So
that's that's like a grandmother for Leonardo DiCaprio. 26. No, isn't it?
Actually, I couldn't go that young. I have a daughter that young, so I actually have a daughter older than that. So I wouldn't go. I wouldn't go anywhere near there. So.
Yeah, I don't blame you. What do you talk to them about anyway?
Yeah.
All right, let's play prognosticator. Hey, I got it on the first try this time.
Let's go back to hockey a little bit.
Yeah. So let's the draft. The top. I'll say top 10. But especially the top 5 is really fluid as far as who might go there and all that. So, going to lead off with Treg here because he's the big-time writer. No, he's the professional. So we want to hear.
Rick, it's okay. You can be afraid of him and his big muscles.
Well, he's far away. I don't really have to worry. So, Treg, how do you see top 5 going? Like, how do you think it'll come out?
I think it's going to come out pretty much the way everyone's been saying. I think you're going to see Celebrini go first. I think Chicago's taken either Levy or Dickinson. You're going to see Anaheim take Siliev, I believe, if Lev's gone. The wild card is going to be Columbus. So Columbus says they want size, but now we hear Demidov's 6 foot or 6'1". So does that
6 feet?
Is that big enough? Well, he was 5'11" on EP, so to me, 6'1" isn't that much of a difference. In my opinion, it's not that much of a difference.
It's a little bit.
I believe they're going to go with Lindstrom, and then I think you're going to see the Habs take Demidov. But I think it would be hilarious if Demidov's on the board and the Habs take Siniak. I just think that would be hilarious.
By the way, Siniak is Seneca for everybody else.
Seneca. What I don't know. I just read. I just.
But I mean,
on phonics it.
Seneca's not that bad a pick.
Here's the thing with Seneca. I really like him, but he is the biggest risk pick.
Yes.
In the draft, so he's either going to be
lowest floor, high ceiling, but he's got the lowest floor.
That's right. He's either going to be boom or bust. He's either going to be the best player out of the draft, or he's going to be Yakupov, one or the other. And that's the biggest risk you have with him. Whereas Demidov, Lindstrom, Iginla, Berkeley Catton, if you want a smaller
Cole Eiserman.
I think Cole Eiserman's too one-dimensional to go in the top 5.
Yeah,
I think he's.
No, I agree with that, but
I think he's the best pure goal scorer.
Though.
I think he's the best pure goal scorer in the draft, but that's it. That's all he got.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I agree with that.
And I think
he can work on the rest of his game a little bit with BU.
He can.
That's a good situation for him with Pandolfo there. But no, I do agree. As of right now, I mean, he's just a pure goal scorer.
So I believe I really like him, and I mean I know a lot of people cry. Last couple drafts are going go with the risk, and this year nobody wants to go with the risk, which would be
Seneca.
Seneca.
Yeah.
So. And I don't blame them because I think if Demidov's there, that's the can't miss pick at 5 anyway. And if he's not there and Lindstrom is, then I think you got to go with Lindstrom. I mean, but I'm not upset if they go with Iginla. I'm happy if they go with Seneca.
We're the same. Like there's like 4 or 5 guys there that I think we'd all be happy with. Like regardless of who they take.
I don't think I'd be happy if they picked a defenseman and left Iginla and
I mean,
Seneca on the floor. I don't think because they're not addressing an issue. And then
frankly, unless those guys are gone, they're all gone, which isn't going to happen. From their talk, they're not like a defenseman's the last. Like if there's nothing there, but how are all those guys going to be taken? Not.
Well, I still think there's going to be at least 2 defensemen gone in the top 5.
Right. So they're going to have a forward, a good forward, guy that they're looking for, a guy that will help them. Exactly. Unless there's the rumor that they're going to take a defenseman because they're going to make a trade for a forward. There's that.
If that's the case, what defenseman are you trading? Because you're going to have to. It's going to have to be Gooley, Hudson, Mayu, or Reinbacher. So, and I don't see them trading Reinbacher.
Those are the names. Hudson's the only one. I mean, nobody's putting him in there.
Well, no, but I'm just saying if you're going to make a trade for that forward, that star forward that you want to push the needle, Hudson's name has to be at least asked about by the other team.
Probably, but I would think they're going to turn down.
I would think they would turn him down as well, but
Reinbacher's mostly been out there for that.
I don't see them trading him either. They're not going to pick him one year just to trade him the next, and just to pick another defenseman to trade him. It'll just make him look stupid. So,
and what forward is there that, like for me, Zegras isn't the guy for me. So
I'm not big on Zegras. I'm not big on Nesh. I'm not big on Nesh.
No, not for what they're looking. They're looking for his home run. It's not those 2 guys.
And when I say not big on, I mean, it's not that I wouldn't want them on my team. It's just that I'm not giving up the cupboard to get these guys because they haven't shown anything to me that they're going to really move the needle. If I'm getting a superstar forward, I'm getting a superstar forward. I'm getting a Marner-type forward who can play in the playoffs. And really, Marner's hit or miss. Like I think he gets a bad rap for the playoffs. He's hit or miss. He's either really good or he's not.
Rick was ready to kill you when I told you were thinking Mitch Marner. Rick went.
Right. I don't think they're going to trade for Mitch Marner. I don't think that's the move. But you need a player of that quality.
That moves the needle like that, 100%.
That moves the needle.
Yeah,
you need a bona fide point per game player that's already proved it in the NHL. That's around the 24 to 26 age range. Very hard to find, very hard to get, and you're not getting that without giving up a guy like Hudson or a guy like
Gooley or Reinbacher
or something like that.
Yeah.
But I just don't see them doing Reinbacher because it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make sense to trade Reinbacher to pick a defenseman in this draft. I would just trade the pick. If that's what your plan was, just trade the pick.
Yeah.
Just trade the pick and get the player. Because that's all you're really just flipping one defenseman for another. Because from what I read, Reinbacher would be one of the top 4 defensemen in this draft. So if Silyav and Lev are gone, you're picking the same defenseman.
No, I agree 100%. It doesn't make any sense.
So
to me, there's no way they're going with a defenseman.
No, and Zeev Buium and Lane Hudson are basically the same player. Basically the same player. I think Hudson's more creative. He's more uniquely skilled. So again, that just doesn't make sense to me.
And we got
if they did take Buium, I'd be upset. But at the same time, we'd have the best young decor the game's ever seen. It'd just be ridiculous. But
I think we have a chance to have that now.
No, I do too. I totally agree. I think it certainly could wind up being that. I absolutely agree. That's why I want to forward. It doesn't make sense to add a D-man. It really doesn't.
And there's too many forwards that are going to be available at 5 that are going to fit what they need.
Yeah, seriously. No, I agree.
Exactly.
And pretty well-rounded forwards for the most part. With guys like Lidstrom and Iginla, even Catton in a sense a little bit, they're pretty well-rounded already. They're guys who, in a year or two could probably slot, right into that top 6 and be off the races.
And I have no issue going with the center because then you have protection for if Doc gets injured, or
that's what I've been saying. Yeah, Doc,
you can flip flop Doc with whoever you draft. Lindstrom, say, depending on which side the face off is and all this kind of stuff, because they both can play wing and they both can play center. And just think of the line if you put Slafkovsky, Lindstrom, and Doc on a line. That's a huge. That's a Legion of Doom type line. Right there. That's a huge
6'4",
line.
Right? 6'4", 230.
That's what I'm saying. That's a huge line. So, and that's something Montreal hasn't had ever, I don't think, a big, huge line like that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, But will Lindstrom be there, though? Because it looks like Columbus.
If Lindstrom's not there, Demidov is. And if Demidov there, Lindstrom is. So, the only way I'd be upset if they went right off the board and they picked someone like, I don't know, Poirier or something that's going in the second round.
No, they're not going to do that, though.
Even if they took Yzerman at 5, you kind of nah, it's not really the guy I wanted because he's basically just a little bit taller Cole Caulfield. But you're still getting
6 foot, 190.
He's got
4 inches and 30 pounds on the fucking kid.
But it's basically the same player.
But no,
but it is the same player, and that's good. So you got 2 guys that can score, right?
I think Cole Caulfield's also really rounding his game out nicely too.
He is, and maybe Martin St. Louis can do that with Yzerman too. I will say this:
Jay Pandolfo can start that. I think a lot of people aren't looking at his situation going into BU and they're not kind of thinking the way I'm thinking. I really think Jay Pandolfo can help him round his game out a lot. I think Pandolfo's a great coach. Really great coach. Hudson's defense has gotten much better since he first kind of burst on the scene, and it's been working with Pandolfo and that kind of NHL caliber coaching staff there at BU. So that's why I wouldn't that's why I keep Yzerman in there for me. In that discussion, because I do think he can round his game
out. I think Hudson really impressed me with his defense in the World Juniors. So I thought he played an excellent defensive game in the World Juniors. I still think it's his weak point, but
absolutely it is.
he's not a. He's an offensive defenseman, and you don't. Very rarely do you these days you
Well,
find an
that's
offensive.
why you have a guy like
defenseman.
Reinbacher, a guy like Gooley to pair
Exactly.
with. Who take care of
Exactly. I think Reinbacher was the perfect pick to pair with.
I do too.
With Hudson.
I think that deep pair, like when they hit their stride, it's probably going to be the best deep pair in the league.
Yeah, and then you have someone like Gooley and Mayu as your other D pair, and then you have Jack Guy and whoever. Doesn't really matter who the sixth or seventh guy is. So you have Jack Guy, say, and
Struble, man. Like I really like
Struble. I don't know. I think Struble's gone. I think Struble's going to be traded. I think you're going to lose Struble. I think you're going to lose Harris.
I can sort of see that though because we're so stocked. Like we can get decent NHL caliber like players.
And that's just it. Like you're not going to get the star player for those guys, but you're going to still get
like mid-six guys or like bottom six guys, maybe a couple extra draft picks.
And you can throw those guys in a. You can throw those guys in a package with, say, the 26th pick or a Messar or Farrell or someone like that and get a top six player. So, but, I mean, you also have to look at it, too. If you draft your top six player, you already have Suzuki, Caulfield, and Slafkovsky. You have Newhook, Doc, and now your drafted player. What top six guy are you getting? What top six guy do you need? You know what I mean? Like, where are you going with this? Like, which guy's coming out of the top six? You know, mind you, depending on who they draft, Lindstrom or Demidov. Demidov's not coming over this year, and I wouldn't be shocked if Lindstrom doesn't do another year in the WHL. Yeah. So I mean, you're not getting him next year anyway. So
no matter who you pick of those four guys we're talking about,
right? And if they're in a sense thinking like, you know, maybe they could like, you know, if they want to kind of make a push for a wild card spot, they could try to grab. I don't know. It's because like I think we can all agree this coming season like will be the first season wins and losses kind of start to matter. Like I think
they've said it already. No, but they've said it already. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they want to push for playoffs. I don't think they're. I think realistically, they know they're probably going to be outside looking in. But
I think they'll be right there, though. Like, I don't think we're in for another, like, bottom 10 season.
I don't think you'll see a – I think this year's trade deadline is going to be do we keep them and do a push or do we move them? Like, you'll see Savard go. I wouldn't be shocked to see Savard go before the season starts. But if he doesn't, then you'll see him at the trade deadline, whether they're pushing for a spot or not. Because this isn't the season that they're going to try to. They're still like 2 years away from contending. So if we're being realistic here, they're not contending. I'm going to say 26, 27 is when you should be looking at them as a playoff team building towards a contending team. And I would even say 25, 26 would be that year that they should make the playoffs.
That's kind of my gut feeling. I think 25, 26 is when
they should.
They should be a playoff team.
If they don't make it next year, I think that's a possibility. I'm not counting on it. So
I think they're going to be I think right up to around the trade deadline, they're going to be in the mix. I just don't know if they're going to be there. It wouldn't shock me if they made the playoffs, but it wouldn't shock me if they miss. Now, if the injuries pile up and everything happens, then I think you're going to look at another bottom 10 finish.
Yeah, injuries are going to be a big part of whether they make the playoffs or not, right? If Doc doesn't go down, which is that's going to be really big. Doc has to stay healthy. So, yeah. If that works out, I think we could be a playoff team.
And the reason I'm saying 25, 26 is that's when a lot of money comes off the books. Yeah, like a lot of money comes off the books.
No, exactly. I think Well, I know there's some free agents that only have a year or two left on Ninja, but I think that's Price's money. Like, I think that's it for him, right? That's the last year of Price's deal.
You're losing, let's see here. I'll tell you right now. You're losing.
I know we're projected to have a fuck ton of money.
2 more.
So at the end of next year, you're losing Dvorak, Joel Armia, Jake Evans, Pizzetta, Savard, Kovacevic, and no, Price still got 1 more year, 26-27 for Price.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, that's still basically a free $10 million because it'll be on LTIR. So you can add 10
But
million
now-
to whatever.
They could
But
trade.
But now you're going to have to sign Caden Gooley. You're going to have to sign Jordan Harris is up for a signing.
You and I both kind of talked. We think he's
Bobsky.
probably gone.
Slav needs a new contract.
Slav will need a new contract. Let me see.
That's not going to be a
Slav
small
at.
one. What do you? Well, since we're talking about that, what's your opinion with Slav? Bridge or long term?
I think Kent Hughes is going to go long term. Same thing he did with Cole and Suzuki. Well, no, not Suzuki because that was Bergevin. But I think he's going to go long term, and I think it's going to be in the ballpark of Suzuki. I don't know if it's going to be more or not, but it's definitely going to be. In the
No,
ballpark.
but that's my feeling too. Like 8 by like 7.8 or something. Right around there, right?
7.5, 7.7,
Yeah.
somewhere around there. Eventually, they're going to have to sign someone to higher than the 7 than Suzuki's contract.
They will. He said it's not going to be that nobody will make more than Suzuki or Cole.
No.
There was a reason why he signed them at that, but there could be guys they bring in that warrant higher contracts.
Yeah. So I mean, Caden Primo is going to be an RFA next year. I don't think he sticks around. I wouldn't be shocked if you see Jacob Fowler once school's over next year. Move
That
into the
early?
pro league.
That
Now, if
early,
he has
right?
another season like he just had, absolutely,
Yeah.
I agree, Treg.
Yeah.
He's
Okay,
And
he's going to be more than ready.
will he be ready to make the jump to the NHL or the AHL?
I think he'll get NHL games once he's done, but whether or not, I think by that time Dobish is going to be in the NHL. I don't think Primo will be on the team. Montembeau will have 1 year left, so there's no reason to rush Fowler, and I think they should just throw him in Laval for a year.
Yeah,
Make sure he
season him
gets
up a little
comfortable.
bit, but I think after 1 year in Laval, I think he's going to be. I mean, it's off to the races.
And from what I've seen from Dobish in his second half of the season, after he had that game where he let 3 goals in on 4 shots or whatever it is, he caught fire, and he was a huge reason why Laval almost made the playoffs. I don't see them, unless Primo comes out next year and really blows the doors off the NHL, I don't see him staying over Dobish or Fowler for that
I
matter.
don't know much about Dobish. I haven't seen
Well,
him. much.
definitely not. Like I think we can all agree that Fowler's going to be the guy once he's.
Well, Fowler, and that's why I'm saying.
I mean, he's
26,
just. I mean, he's
27.
that good already, and he's only going to continue
Yeah.
to get better.
And he's so confident, and he's a bit cocky, and that's what you need in a goaltender to succeed.
I mean, he's cool and like he really is like Carey Price and Patrick Waugh, like messed together. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
He seems like
and
a
I've
guy
seen that
that
watching
can
him play
handle.
in games. Like, it's ridiculous how
He's-
calm and cool he is under pressure.
He
Like,
seems
just
like a
doesn't
guy.
care. He just eats it.
He seems like a guy that can handle Montreal's media and the pressure, and not
I
only
agree.
handle it but want it.
Oh,
Like he
absolutely.
wants that, and that's that's what I like about him. The guy wants the challenge, and he wants to be that guy, and I think that's an important part of success for a lot of players.
I mean, especially a goaltender, especially with that position.
Yep. And
Well,
in
I mean,
Montreal,
he has big skates to fill. So, I mean, Price filled. I'm going to say Waugh, not Theodore, but Price was the next. You had Dryden, you had Waugh, Theodore, sort of, and then you had Carey Price
for a
right?
couple of seasons, Theodore, but
Well, but that's what I mean. That's why I'm kind of like sort of Theodore, but really it was, you went from
Carey
Jacques
Price
Plante,
had more. Yeah,
you
Carey
went,
Price.
you went from Waugh to Price and Fowler. Everyone's expecting Fowler to be the next guy. I think he can be. I'm not going to sit here and go Fowler's the next Carey Price. He's the
Right.
next,
I mean, I don't think
whatever.
any reasonable fan would say that, but I think
He's got that potential.
He already has.
but
the
he has that
mentality.
potential.
He's got the
That's it,
quality.
and that's what
He's got the on-ice skill. I watched him
Yeah.
plenty of times this past season.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. How quick his reaction times are, his positioning, and just the way he sees the game. Like, he made a play in the Hockey East title game where he took a quick look, saw BU changing, and immediately, no hesitation, out to the puck, shot it up to Will Smith, and he scored because he caught him in a shit. Like, he's so quick the way he can see plays happening, and it's
Intelligent guy.
ridiculous.
Yeah. Now, someone argued me with this, but I've said he was a big reason Boston College was as successful as they was. Now, I know they have some big names like Will Smith and some other guys on the team, but I said, do you know how many games they won 2-0, 2-1 stuff like that.
I said it all season. I said, and I was making the argument with Alex.
And he made 35 to 45 saves in those games for them to win.
Oh yeah.
I understand they have Will Smith and who's the other guy they got?
Ryan Leonard.
Ryan Leonard. Yeah, I know they have some names there, but he was winning their games.
No, I agree. And
you watched that tournament to get to the Frozen Four, the Hockey East tournament. He was the reason Boston College.
Oh, he was the reason we beat BU.
Yeah.
And I know it was a blowout in the end, but he made 4 or 5 saves that I was ready to celebrate because I thought they were going in. It was if they didn't have Fowler in that game was probably 5-4 or 6-5 game.
And I mean, Fowler's going to be probably the starting goaltender for the World Juniors this year. So we'll see how he does there. I mean, I know a lot of people put a lot of stock into the World Juniors. To me, it's a 7-game tournament. You can be hit or miss. So
a lot of great players haven't had a good tournament, and they're still great. Doesn't mean
Cole Caulfield never had a good World Junior. Neither one of them.
That's right.
But then again, he was buried on a 3rd and 4th line, but still.
Yeah, it was weird. I don't remember that.
Yeah,
but I mean, it's not.
That's World Juniors. I know Fowler didn't he didn't have better numbers per se than Augustine, but I still haven't found someone that would argue that Augustine's better. And the funny thing is too, they actually played each other early on in the NCAA season, and Fowler beat him 4-1 or 5-1.
Augustine was the number 1 goalie for Team USA, though, was he not?
Yeah,
he was. Yeah.
He got hurt, and Fowler played 2 or 3 in a row because of that. I remember.
I really don't remember, but
yeah,
I don't pay too much attention to the stinky Americans in the World Juniors or anything like
that. Yeah.
I mean, don't lose to Czechia, and then maybe you might medal.
Canada had a terrible team.
Last thing on Fowler, he's a big game goalie.
Yes.
And this is what I like about him. He steps up. When it comes playoff time, he steps up into that kind of stuff.
Go watch the Hockey East final. He was the reason Boston College won that game.
And if you really look at the way Montreal's building their team, unlike what Bergevin did, and if anyone knows me, I'm not a Bergevin hater, but I see flaws in what he did. Right. Bergevin tried to plug holes.
Yeah,
with Carey Price. Oh well, we've got 100 points. I only need to fill this hole and this hole, but he never went out and got that superstar that he needed forward or on defense or anything like that to help Carey Price.
No,
so he relied on Carey Price to win for him. The year they went to the Cup, he built a playoff team. That's what he did. He built playoff teams. The problem was those teams weren't regular season teams. Yeah. So the team struggled to make it to the playoffs. But when they did, in 2021, they had a team that could make it because they had a tough playoff team. Plus, Carey Price and Shea Weber did not want to lose.
No, they knew it was
now. Hughes and Gorton are like, okay, we're tearing her down, which they did, and they're building from the defense and net out. So we have our defense, our future defense: Gooley, Reinbacher, Mayu, Hudson, Arber Xhekaj. Apparently, I like Xhekaj, so I don't mind that, and whoever. Right? We have our goaltending. Our goaltending's right now Monty and Primo. They're playing well enough. There are stopgaps until we can get Fowler and Dobish, or maybe they'll keep Primo, or maybe they'll sign Monty longer. Whoever. Fowler's their guy. They drafted Fowler. That Russian guy they drafted the same year they drafted Fowler. I want to see how he does in the VHL next year because he had amazing numbers over in Russia in the NHL. So if he's as good as what I'm seeing over there, man, they have their goaltending depth just going to be incredible.
And it was within a year that changed, too. Because how many years under Bergevin we had shit behind Carey Price?
You had Carey Price and Al Montoya. And
garbage.
Fucking Keith Kincaid.
Peter Budaj was the best one.
Peter Budaj
was the best one.
Yeah, and then, he had Cristobal Huet when he first got there. But
yeah, Huet. But Huet was here already when...
He was there already.
Yeah.
And then,
didn't they have Keith Kincaid for a season?
And by the way, if you look down there, you can see my finger. That's a Huet shirt.
Cristobal. Yeah. I like Chris Wohue, but
Me
and then
too, I liked him.
they had Yaroslav Halak. So him and Halak did their thing, and Halak had his big run there in 2010, I think it was. But they had nothing. He had no backup. He had no real Budai. You're absolutely right. I think was their best backup.
Was their best? He had best numbers as the backups.
I mean, I didn't mind Al Montoya. I thought he did all right for what he did, but
Keith Kincaid sucked.
But basically, if it wasn't Carey Price, we were worried we're losing that game.
Yeah,
basically,
so it was like,
and there was never
like
really anything in the prospect pool. There really wasn't,
because they had Price. So they're like, well, we don't need to draft a superstar goalie, but maybe if Price only played 35 to 40 games a year instead of 55 to 60, maybe Price isn't hurt like he is. If they drafted Kreider over to LeBlanc, maybe Price does. Maybe
that's a big one. Maybe
we win the cup in 2014.
I think there's a real argument that the Habs win the cup that year if Price doesn't get hurt.
If Price doesn't get hurt, I think they do win the cup. Well, who won that? Chicago or LA?
It was LA.
Yeah, if it was Chicago, I would have said maybe, but with LA, I think.
As good as Quick was, I just don't think he was nearly as good as Price.
Yeah, because Price was unbeatable in that playoffs until Kreider. So, but here we are.
And they drafted Louis LeBlanc, and I think one pick ahead of Kreider, just ahead of him.
Well, Timmins wanted Kreider. Bob Gainey wanted the French guy because the draft was in Montreal.
Yeah.
I think they were drafting in the 20s.
18, I think. I want to say 18.
18. I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think you're right. And I think Kreider went 19 or 20.
I think Kreider went right after. And when I saw that, I didn't know this at the time because I was not really following back then that well. But I remember the draft and everything. And then I was doing research for some video, and I saw that, and I went, oh, my God. That's where, if they'd make that move, we win a cup that year probably.
Now, in LeBlanc's defense, LeBlanc wasn't a huge reach or anything at 18. He wasn't, I think people figured he was going to go in the mid-20s. But
talent-wise, there was
Bob Gainey wanted the –
He bowed to the pressure. Everybody, all the French fans wanted LeBlanc. That's really what it was. The French fans wanted LeBlanc, and he fucking bowed to the pressure.
Yeah, so he did. And again,
what it was.
LeBlanc's junior numbers weren't terrible. He wasn't it wasn't like he really reached for him. He just wasn't.
If your
they could have got better. If
your scouts were doing their job, they would have said, "No, we're taking Kreider."
Well, Timmins wanted Kreider, and Bob Gainey vetoed it.
So. And then I think that's why over the years Timmins said, "All right, fuck you, I'm doing the drafting."
As soon as that happened, look at the players that are here now. That's because of that. Once Timmins took over,
Caulfield, right? Timmins is like, no, Marcus, put the phone down. Cole.
Yeah, he was trading that pick. You know that, Bergevin was trading that pick, and Timmins said nope.
They wanted Cam York, and when he went to Philly, they were going to trade the pick, and then the story is Timmins talked Mark out of it.
From what I understand, is when he didn't go to Edmonton.
I think he just straight up slapped the phone out of his hand.
When he didn't go to Edmonton I believe Edmonton was 8. When he didn't go there, Timmins Bergevin was about to make the call. He didn't go to 8. Timmins said, "Wait, he's going to fall," and that's why they waited.
Well, the biggest non-trade that Bergevin would have made that would have changed the face of Montreal was Subban to Edmonton, because they would have got Draisaitl. So they would have got actually Draisaitl and Nurse. So
they can send Nurse.
Darnell Nurse kind of blows.
What's that?
Darnell Nurse.
Well, he does, but I mean,
for $9.5 million.
He's not worth $9.5 million. Fucking.
If he was getting $3.5-4 million, not as bad. $9.5 million, no.
Well, he had a good agent.
Yeah, that's right.
Apparently, Jeff Skinner did too.
Oh, do you see some of the deals that Kent Hughes got for his clients? Like, I did that when he got hired. I looked at that. Some of the deals were insane. Like, this guy's a shark, and he's proving it. Yeah,
he knows the cap, and he knows how players work. But I find it kind of funny now that he's a GM, and now all of a sudden, I think someone said that when his first year. He said now that he's a general manager, all of a sudden,
money's tight.
Yeah. Yeah. Contracts are important. The salary cap matters now.
Yeah, but I mean, of course, right? I mean, of course.
Yeah.
You know, he's just doing his job as the agent, get as much as he can.
Yeah.
But fuck, he was good at doing that. So,
and I think he's a pretty good GM too. So far,
good to have a shark as that. Okay, let's talk about some rumors. Oh, I got a question for you that I wanted to know what you think before we move on. The combine just happened beginning of the month, so everybody knows they do the testing and everything, and the interviews. How important do you think the interviews are when these guys make decisions on players?
You asking me?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I think that's a study of character. So I think teams now want players that they think. So there's a lot of scandal in hockey. A lot of scandal in players with, what's the word I'm looking for? Backgrounds where they weren't very great people as teenagers and whatever.
Like Trevor Connolly, you're talking about Trevor Connolly.
Well, Hockey Canada scandal, all this crap that went on.
Right.
So I believe teams now really want players with character and with players that they can trust and not going to give them headaches off the ice, right?
Right.
So I think the interview is a way for them to find out, A, how quick these guys can think, and B, what their character is like. So I think one of the questions was, what was their Uber score, or what were their and I believe that I think that's just a way to see if these guys actually care about people that most people don't think really matters. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like who thinks they're your Uber driver?
Especially with the Habs, because they've made it very important. Character, it's one of those boxes that
correct.
Check.
And I think a lot of teams do this. I think a lot of teams are looking for. I know some people blow it out of proportion in Montreal, and I think Bergevin kind of was too high on character. But I think the interview is important, and also I think they want to. I think another question Montreal's asked is, "What type of animal would you be?"
Yes. Yeah.
I mean that one's a bit weird, but I think they just want to see how they perceive themselves as what? How they perceive themselves. I think they just want to see how the player perceives themselves as something different. So it really
a little different. I
see now
to find out the leaders, because what I read about that is most guys are answering like one of two animals. They're kind of looking for someone that's a little different, that's a leader. I think that's how they're looking at it, in my opinion.
That's true too. I mean, again, let's say a unicorn. So
right.
Because he said
Pegasus.
Different.
He said Pegasus.
Oh, said Pegasus. That's right, because it's something it's something different that no one's seen before, which is what I am. So I think that just goes to show your confidence and stuff like that. I'm not sure. Other teams had weird questions too, but I believe it's all a character, leadership. It all has to do with how they are as a person. And I'm pretty sure they have psychologists that sit down and tell them why you asked this question and what different answers tell you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like our good old days like us, Rick, back in the 80s and that, when they're just like, how many packs of smokes do you smoke between periods? You know what I mean? So,
can we count on you to bring a case?
How many beers do you have after the game?
Yeah. So, I mean, they really get into the psychology. And I think it also has to do, especially with a market like Montreal, they want to see how you are under pressure when they ask the question. Like, how are you going to react under pressure? I mean, Fowler. Sorry, Jacob Fowler did excellent in his interview. If you ever watched the little video, he did there. He was very confident. He was very quick on his answers. Like he was very
surprised.
And apparently, Slav blew them away in the interviews.
Yeah,
and I think it's the reason Slav didn't get taken to dinner and they drafted him. He blew them away in the interview. They learned what he did there.
I think the dinner thing's overrated, personally.
It obviously is because
I think it's overrated.
They take a lot of guys out to dinner, and they oftentimes don't draft any of those guys.
And I think that's a character thing too. I think they take they want to see how they're going to react. Like, are they going to just assume we're going to pay for it all? I mean, I don't know how the dinners go. I mean, I would assume they would pay for it. I'm not going to sit there and go, I got that.
No, I would think.
As a 17-year-old, I got that. Right. But, but I think I think Seneca was taken out by Columbus. but I don't really think Columbus is looking at drafting Seneca.
And Anaheim,
to be honest with you.
Anaheim took
I
also.
don't think either one of them are planning on really drafting them. I think they just want to get to know them a little better. Now there's another combine going on right now for European and Russian players in Florida as we speak.
Yeah.
But
when did they bring that to North America?
That's the last 2 or 3 years, I think they've had.
Yeah, I was a little surprised by it. I thought it was over in Russia or in Europe, and now it's in North
They
America.
do have one in Europe, but they had it in Florida this year.
They can't have it in Russia.
Yeah.
No, it's been in Europe,
yeah.
but that's where they go interview the Russian players.
I don't know why they just don't have them. I think Combine's just all North American players, to be honest with you. The one in Buffalo. I don't really know for sure.
Yeah, you're right. I don't think there's any.
This year's Combine was very quiet. Like it wasn't, didn't seem as covered as it was.
I didn't hear hardly anything. I hardly heard any news from it.
Yeah, I heard a few things here or there, but nothing. Like usually you have all the heights and weights put out and everything.
They get all the lists who did best, and yeah.
To me, I think the Combine, if it's not on the ice, I don't see the point in it. But whatever.
That's a good point, actually. I saw Graphic Hags podcast, and they were talking about that, and it's true. Like, how come there's no on ice testing?
Yeah, like they jump and they bike and they run and they like. Who's jumping in hockey?
Makes sense, right? Because like you look at like the NFL Combine, right, or the NBA, where they have the guys do stuff either on, literally on NFL, the field for football, but
they throw
the
football.
NBA, they're on the basketball court.
Yeah. Apparently, though, there's two of the tests that they do that weirdly lead to an NHL player if they do well there, and that's the standing jump and the long jump. And of the players that Montreal's interested in, only Iginla was in top 10 in both of those.
I don't understand why that. See, I would rather see them, fast, like I don't know, skills competition, fastest game, stick handling, all this kind of stuff.
I think the testing is okay. The physical testing is okay.
Yeah,
it should go along with on ice testing.
Exactly.
Well. And I can get why the long jump and the standing jump, that's the legs.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So you're looking, if you're doing well there, then you got good skating legs. Like I think that's the thought there. But apparently, apparently that leads to an NHL player.
I'll say this: Demidov isn't the greatest skater out of the guys in the top 5. He's a good skater, but he's not a great skater. Just so everyone knows.
Lindstrom's the same way. He's good. Yeah. He's fast, but he's got a weird stride. He'll upright more than he should be. Yeah. But you know what? At their age, it's a little coaching.
I mean, he also herniated a disc, so he probably had to change that up a little bit.
No, scouting reports.
I don't think that herniated disc is going to make that much of a difference either in where he's drafted. I'd be surprised if he drops because of that, personally.
You're probably right. No, you're probably right. But, I mean, it could be a problem through his career, right? He's a very physical player.
Teams will probably note it. They'll note it and keep an eye on it.
Without a doubt. They've looked at his medical records and all that. Yeah. That's made available. So if the Habs draft Lindstrom, they have all the information.
Oh, yeah.
I think without a doubt. All right. Let's talk about a couple of rumors because there's one we already covered 2 of them. The ones that we haven't is, what do you think, first off, of these Patrick Laine rumors, him coming to Montreal, which I think is ridiculous.
I don't think it's happening.
I don't think there's talking about Anderson straight up for Laine.
I don't see it. You're giving out $5.5 million for $8.5 million for pretty much this. Well, no, I wouldn't say the same player. Laine is actually been almost a point per game player in this last 3 seasons, but he's just been injured.
Yeah.
And he had his father died. Then he had his.
He's in the player assistance
program. But I don't see that happen. I think people just want to get rid of Anderson, and because he had his bad season. I think Anderson's going to have a comeback season. I don't think Anderson's going to get you maybe 20 goals, maybe. And I think Anderson is what he is.
I thought it was hilarious that like his first goal was from the other end of the ice into an empty net, like bullseye right in the middle of the net. But yet, like I think that same game he was like on the goal line and couldn't score. And I think when he scored, Rick and I looked at each other. We're like, "Really? You had to be on the other end of the ice."
Yeah,
and
fired it blindly.
Yeah,
I think Anderson got snake bitten early, and it wore on him, and he lost his confidence because I
think you're right there.
He had so many chances early in the season, and I mean, Slafkovsky would have had 7 more points if Anderson would have scored those goals.
Yeah,
than what he had, and Anderson just get him in. I think it just weighed on him, and then it kind of he just lost confidence in himself. And once you lose confidence in yourself, it's hard to get it back.
I think that I think when he struggled the first 24 games until he got a goal, I think he fought through that. But when it happened again right after he went back, I don't think he couldn't recover from that. And I think you're right. That's when the mental part of it came in.
His last 15, 20 games, he didn't even look like he wanted to be out there. So,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think,
And I think it was a confidence thing. I think he felt let down. I think he felt he let the team down. It'd be interesting to see how he comes back next year. I mean, he's still got 2 seasons after this one at 5.5. If Montreal can move them, I can see them moving them, but they're not going to take more money to get rid of his money. I just don't see that happening.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make sense.
Even if it is, and I don't see Columbus wanting to take its $5.5 million for Patrick Laine. Is it Columbus? Yeah, Laine's with Columbus, isn't he?
Yeah, Columbus. Yeah.
Wanting to take his $5.5 million, even though they're giving up $8.5 million. I just don't see it. I just don't see it. I don't see any of these guys like Neskav, Zegras, or Laine coming to Montreal. I don't see any of them coming. If this was 25, 26,
right,
I think differently. I would think differently, but
not
this year.
Even though Hughes has come out and said that they might sign some guys, but short term. Remember, he said short term.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a 1 or 2 year contract.
Yeah,
and it's going to be not
a big
significant,
name.
Not a big. Well, I mean, I think it'll be a top 9 player, but I don't think you'll see them. I don't think you'll see them signing anyone major.
No, or for big.
And they don't have to. They don't have to.
No. I agree.
I think Perron. I think Perron is a name I've been hearing that they might sign to a 1 or 2 year contract or try to. So
yeah, that's where that name came from.
I remember when I was talking to Rick about that. Like I kind of like that move. I'm not gonna lie. I don't mind it. Rick didn't seem to think it made any sense, and I'm actually like I'm curious. Like where are we coming from there, Rick? Like
I didn't realize he had 57 points last season. Is that what you said? He had 57 points?
Yeah, he had 57 points.
Yeah, no, so I thought he had fallen off a little bit more than that. So he's getting old. I mean, he's not young.
He is, but like I told Treg when he texted me that, I said, kind of not a bad signing. Like he's still got some gas left in there. Like
he's 36. I think it'll be a Monahan type trade type move without the. I mean, he made. I'm looking at it now. Man, some of these sites suck.
But he's 36. I mean,
he's 36, but I mean, you're only signing for 1 or 2 years. So,
yeah, I mean, it's not much risk as long as the money's not much.
Well, that's just it. So, I mean, if they're gonna, and that's why I think like he made 4.7 last year.
No, I'm not signing him for that.
Yeah, but even if you get him for 3.5, there's nothing wrong with 3. Yeah. That's $7 million over. The cap just went up almost 5. You're signing him for 7.5. He's going to fill a void. I mean, Colin White's going to be gone. Tanner Pearson's going to be gone.
Yeah.
You're going to have some kind of veteran presence in there. I mean,
right now, this is why they do it, I guess.
Right now, your oldest player is Joel Armia at 31. Or sorry, Brendan Gallagher at 32. Which is not bad to have, but I'm just saying you throw it. You can get Perron in there for say 3.5 for 2 years, 1 or 2 years. What's it going to hurt?
Be helpful, and I mean, he's definitely a veteran. He could help, the young kids, mentorship wise.
I mean, you're not getting Stamkos. You're not getting Reinhart.
I never. I mean, Stamkos personally.
They could go after Reinhart, but they're going to be paying.
That's
money.
You're going to be paying $10 million.
Yeah. I think Reinhardt's coming in at 10, 5.
Yeah.
I think.
So I don't think that's.
Although it's interesting, like 60% of his goals were on the power play. So
Jake Gensel's another guy they could go after.
But with Reinhart, you got the chance that last season was a one-off, or that's his career high, and he drops back down.
Yeah, but you're still looking at a 30-goal scorer.
Yeah, okay, but 10 million. I mean, that's you're giving up 10 million for a 30-goal scorer. We're not Toronto.
Well, he's a 57 goal. He scored 57 goals. I agree with you, Rick. I think it's an outlier year for Reinhart. I don't think you're going to see. I don't think you're going to see him score 57 again. But you got Montreal. I don't know. I don't think they do go after him because I don't think they're willing to pay that much money out.
And somebody
this
will.
Year.
And somebody
this
will
year,
pay.
And somebody will. Now next year, 25, 26, I think that's when Montreal's going to start opening the pocketbooks and trying to sign big name free agents. Now I don't know who's available then, but.
No, I think I agree with you. Just I don't see it this year. I mean, not until they make the playoffs or they're confident of making the playoffs. I don't see why this would be the year.
You got Sidney Crosby available next year after this.
We talked about this. No, we talked about this. Me and Matt.
You know, mind you, he'll be 39, but
it's still the guy's got some. He's still got something in the tank.
You know, you'll have John Tavares and Mitchell Marner. They're free agents.
Forget Tavares. And I'm not touching anyone anyways from that.
Mikko Rantanen's a free agent in 25-26 for 25-26 season. Leon Draisaitl. So you got some big names coming out. Victor Hedman.
Yeah.
But nobody's there's no young guys. Everyone, the youngest guys.
Yeah, but but think about it. But though if they're at that point, right? Like say this year they just missed a wild card spot, they're right there. Going into next season, if they'll be able to afford it, I'd back the Brinks truck right up to Rantanen or Draisaitl and say, hey, listen, come over
here. I'm doing the same thing.
Because I think that makes sense. And then from there, you're off to the races.
I would even kick the tires at Sidney Crosby because the cap's going to go up again. I don't know how much, but you'll see the cap go up again. Carey Price will be in his last season if he's there. I won't be shocked if Carey Price gets traded to. Because there's 7 teams under the cap floor right now.
Yeah,
the cap floor went up.
There's some rumors about that trading Price's contract, and he said he's okay with it.
Well, I mean, he's not really playing for the team. It's just, it's just gone. But I can see his contract going to San Jose or someone like that, who's below the cap floor. There's 7 teams. I think when the next season starts, there'll be 7 teams below the cap floor.
Jeez.
So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how they get over.
All right.
And it's better to have that 10.5 off the books and use LTIR. So
yeah, no, it is. It's better for them in the long run. Okay, finally, I'm going to ask you your opinion on this. These young defensemen, Hudson, Reinbacher, Mayu, where do you see them next year, AHL or NHL?
I see only Hudson in the NHL to start the season. I think Reinbacher and Mayu will stay in the AHL, depending
on training camp, right?
On what they do in the offseason with trades.
True. And training camp. I mean, if Reinbacher or Mayu are just lights out in training camp, I could see one of them making it.
I can see Mayu making it over Reinbacher because I think they're going to see pretty much a full season of North American pro hockey for Reinbacher before, same as what they did with Mayu. Now, Mayu last year, he's probably going to win Rookie of the Year in the AHL. I don't know if he didn't already, or I don't know the awards for the AHL, but he was pretty much one of the top scoring defensemen in the league.
Yep.
So in his very first year, I thought he played well in his one game with Montreal. He didn't look out of place.
Definitely.
But I wouldn't be shocked if – because, I mean, who do they have on the right side next year? Savard, if he's not gone, Barron, and Konecny. Kovacevic.
Kovacevic, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, Gooley can play both sides. Harris can play both sides. So can Jack High.
And so Hudson, I believe. So, everybody kind of can.
Yeah. But, I mean, I think you're going to want to see Hudson play on his normal side.
For his first year.
Developing. Yeah. So, depending on who's gone, I'm not a big Barron guy, so I don't see Barron lasting.
I think Harris. You had kind of told me that you think Harris is probably gone this offseason. I kind of agree with that.
Yeah.
One of the lefties got to go, and Harris is the best bang for your buck. He's going to get you he's going to get you the biggest return out of those guys. So he'll be gone, I believe, and you're still got Struble will be your 7th defenseman. That's with Hudson on the team. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. So really, there's not a lot of room. So unless Mayu blows the door off Kovacevic or Reinbach, if both of them do, then maybe you rush a trade and get rid of Savard before the season starts.
Right.
I just don't see you trading Savard until the deadline.
Personally. Me too. I think they love his experience and the mentorship.
Yeah.
And I think it's important, especially with young defensemen.
Yeah, and Kovacevic will be another guy gone by he's a UFA at the end of the year, so he'll be another guy gone by the deadline. Yeah. So you'll see them by the end of the year, but to start, I think Hudson's the only sure thing in Montreal to start the season.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. That definitely does. All right, well, that'll wrap it up.
Awesome.
So thanks a lot, Treg. Really appreciate it.
Yep, no worries. Anytime.
Yeah, man.
With all that good information. So that's it for us tonight. We'll be back next week for the is it next week? Just before the draft. So just before the draft, we'll have a show. And the draft is coming up next week. So there's that. And I don't know what else to say, but that's it. I hope you enjoyed it. And have a great week. And I don't know. I'm at a loss for words for some reason. So I'm just gonna say have a good night. Thanks for Treg. Thanks, Matt. And that's it. Till next time, stay safe out there. Peace out, everybody, and have a great week. And
okay.
ciao, everybody.